Welcome back to another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg, and today we are here to talk about ex-mediocre NBA players trying to tear down the legends of the NBA and how much this frustrates me. It's something that every time I get on Twitter and see some of these quotes from these sorry former NBA players talking about some of the best players in NBA history, it just drives me nuts. It infuriates me, and I got to get on here and talk about it for a second because we've seen some of the most asinine things said by guys who used to play in the NBA. Mike James, not a very good former NBA player, but a former NBA player nonetheless, was talking about Steph Curry and said that he was one-dimensional a couple years ago. I actually did a video on it. Gilbert Arenas said that Giannis doesn't fully understand the game of basketball at this point. Don't know what that means. Gilbert Arenas was a little better than Mike James, but still, I don't want to hear it. He was not as good as Giannis Antetokounmpo. Kendrick Perkins saying that Nikola Jokic was a stat patter in the same way that Russell Westbrook was. Again, not a very good former NBA basketball player in Kendrick Perkins and one of the worst NBA media personalities we've ever had. And today, I get on Twitter and I see this quote from Austin Rivers talking about LeBron James, calling him not one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, saying he's number one in scoring all time, but his game doesn't match a prototypical scorer. It's not sexy. For instance, LeBron has scored more points than Kevin Durant, but Kevin can score in a much bigger variety of ways. You can argue with a wall, but it's just the truth. LeBron doesn't have half the offensive bag that Kevin does. I would say Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, James Harden, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and Allen Iverson are the best scorers I've ever seen. You know who I didn't hear him mention? A single one of the three leading scorers in NBA history, in LeBron James, in Kareem Abdul Jabbar, in Karl Malone. He didn't mention Wilt Chamberlain. What are we talking about? If you're talking about who's the greatest scorers in NBA history, you know who they are? It doesn't have to look sexy. You didn't mention Shaquille O'Neal, one of the most dominant scorers we've ever seen in the history of this league. We're going to get into it. Before we do, make sure you take a second to subscribe to the channel. I got to get that out. Make sure you take a second to subscribe to the channel. We're growing, we're grinding, talking about all sorts of NBA content. I was planning on getting on here today and doing a breakdown preview of the Cleveland Cavaliers for this upcoming season, but I saw this and just simply had to say something. So let's get back to it. So Austin Rivers doesn't think the all-time leading scorer is one of the best scorers in NBA history. Now, I don't know what he means when he says it's not sexy and he doesn't have half the bag of Kevin Durant. I don't know if he's talking about ball handling skills. I don't know if he's talking about footwork, because LeBron James 2 years ago shot 41% from three. Last year shot 38% from three. He's also incredible in the mid-range. We saw him take down the Toronto Raptors in a playoff series years ago, just killing them in the mid-range. And we don't need to talk about LeBron James driving to the hole, being one of the greatest drivers, probably the greatest driver of the basketball in NBA history. So at the end of the day, what does it mean to not have half the bag of Kevin Durant? I agree. I love watching Kevin Durant play offensive basketball, and I love watching, Carmelo, Allen Iverson, Kobe, Michael Jordan. I love watching all those guys play basketball on the offensive end of the court. But how can we sit here and claim that LeBron is not in that class when he literally has outscored all of them? Now, if you say, oh, that's just a longevity thing, let's go by points per game. All right, let's do that. Michael Jordan, number one. Wilt Chamberlain, number two. We didn't mention him. Elgin Baylor, number 5. Jerry West, number 7. And LeBron James coming in at number 8 all time in points per game. Do you not like that stat? What are we talking about? NBA basketball is the only sport that we can somehow diminish somebody because of the bag. And who's the greatest touchdown thrower in the history of the NFL? Probably the guy with the most touchdowns, Tom Brady. Guy won a ton of Super Bowls, did it in the playoffs, did it when it matters most. Who's the best hitter in baseball? Probably the guy with the most hits, unless you're taking guys out for steroids, but that's a different conversation. Who's the best current golfer? Scotty Scheffler, who is known for not being the big flashy personality, but he just goes out there and performs at a high level. In other sports, we actually care about the production on the field, on the court, on the golf course, on the tennis court, all these different things. But in the NBA, for whatever reason, we only care about what your bag looks like. And I don't exactly even really fully understand what a bag is. Kyrie Irving obviously is incredible to watch play offensive basketball. But that is partially because of his ball handling skills. If you're talking about scoring, that to me is a different conversation, because guys have been great ball handlers but not great scorers. Guys have been great scorers but not great ball handlers. Are you just completely discounting all centers in NBA history? Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal. You don't even bring them up in this conversation for the greatest scorers of all time? If I have to get a stop, I don't want to see Shaq or Kareem or Wilt Chamberlain or LeBron James on the other end of the basketball court. That's why I get so frustrated, and there's so much talk on social media, and sometimes you'll see it from former players saying that certain guys shouldn't be talking about the league because they never played. No, there are plenty of players that played in the NBA that should not be talking about the league. Mike James saying that Steph Curry is one-dimensional, questioning his ball handling and ability to run an offense, should not be talking about basketball, should not be given a microphone to talk about the league. Kendrick Perkins shouldn't be given a microphone to talk about the NBA. Austin Rivers was a mediocre NBA player and is on here talking about LeBron James as if he's just some guy. No, this is the all-time leading scorer, 8th all-time in points per game, all-time leading scorer in the playoffs. What else does he have to prove? And I'm someone that it drives me nuts, all the LeBron, Michael Jordan conversations that we see on TV. I think at this point they're overplayed, over talked about, over discussed, whatever you want to say. But my gripe is that we have former players that are downplaying the legends of this game. Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and LeBron James are the 4 guys that I just mentioned in this example. Those are 4 all-time great NBA basketball players, certainly top 20 NBA players of all time. Why do we have guys who should not be talking hoops, Mike James, Austin Rivers? Why do we give so much credence to them? And why is their opinion held in a higher standard than someone who studied the game for a long time? Now, obviously, there's idiots who never played the game too, like Skip Bayless, who shouldn't be talking hoops either. But when it comes, I have so much frustration when it comes to these different topics. And it's clear that LeBron James can do everything from a scoring perspective you want to see an NBA player do. I've seen him make some of the most unbelievable mid-range shots. I've seen him shoot deep threes. I've seen him dunk the basketball, have crazy layups, up and under, all this different stuff. What are we talking about when you say he doesn't have half the bag as Kevin Durant? Now, Kevin Durant is an unbelievable player. Nothing I'm saying right now is to diminish the Kevin Durants, Carmelos, Michael Jordans, anything like that. Those are great NBA basketball players. But why do we feel the need to diminish the all-time leading scorer when it comes to scoring the basketball in a way that I don't see in other sports? That's all we're going to talk about for now when it comes to this topic. I just had to get out some of my frustration with Austin Rivers, and a guy who I don't like listening talk about basketball. I had to get some of that out there, but if you are interested in more basketball talk that I believe breaks down the game in the right way, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're going to be breaking down some previews of teams this upcoming season. We'll probably have a Cleveland Cavaliers video coming out here in the next day or two, as well as many other NBA teams. We've already talked about the Spurs, the Hawks, the Nuggets, and we have plenty other teams to hit that I'm excited to cover in this upcoming season. But make sure you take a second to subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all watching. Cyborg out.